Welcome to our July meeting for the Mycological Association of Washington, D.C. What a fun evening we have planned for you. And I suspect it will take us all the way up to the 9 o'clock hour. Turn on my laser pointer here. So I am Tom McCoy. Get the meeting kickstarted here. I'm the current president of the club. And we're first going to go through the some of what we have in tonight's program and fungi in the news. And we'll be calling on some of the other board members as we go through this. Just a quick note off to the right, like that picture by Isabella Farr. That is, we are in the season of the slime. Loads and loads of slime molds out there in this hot, humid weather. We learned about slime molds last month, and this is one of the most common ones here. That's the wolf's milk slime mold. Then Mitch is going to tell us a little bit in the virtual ID. He's got some cool things that we're seeing out there right now. Cindy Ryan, she's going to give us some tips on how to cook up those wild mushrooms whenever you find them and about the picnic. And then our science advisor, Megan, she's going to tell us about what's going on with Sequinota and research scholarships. And then we're going to get to the main event. My friend Bill Yule, aka Belit Bill, is going to tell us about the saprobes. If you didn't know, sapro means in the scientific nomenclature, sapro means rotting, like saprolite is rotting bedrock. Sapro. So we're going to be talking about how saprobe, how fungi contribute to the breakdown and redistribution of organic material in the environment. Looking forward to that. So quick note on recent and upcoming club events. Go led a walk 2 weekends ago at Teddy Roosevelt Island with the great Paula Becker. She was a former instructor of mine over at Nature Forward. That's located in Chevy Chase, Maryland, where they offer nature studies classes. And she told us all about invasive plants. And we were out there for 4 hours on a pretty hot, humid day, and nobody minded. Paula is just a complete encyclopedia whenever it comes to plants. She talked continuously for 4 hours and never repeated herself once. And in case you've never been to Teddy Roosevelt Island, you ought to go there. Great place. There's the man himself, 26th president of the United States, and his memorial on TR Island. And then just a couple days ago, we had our MAW DC picnic. Cindy is going to tell us a little bit more about that in a couple of minutes. Coming up in a few weeks, we will be having our DNA lab day over at Mount Rainier Nature Center. That's Sarah Nella's home base, home of operations. And then really looking forward to this event. Matt Cohen, our club treasurer, is going to lead a walk up at Cunningham Falls. That's in the Catoctin Mountains near where Camp David is. And so he'll be leading a walk up there on August 1st. I am planning to tag along on that one as well, for what it's worth. That is a cool area. We don't often refer to the Blue Ridge Province as the Blue Ridge Province in Maryland. Normally we just call it South Mountain or Catoctin Mountain. But that's what geologically, Cunningham Falls is part of the Blue Ridge Province. Next month, we're going to be have our monthly meeting with Conrad Scotch, and he's going to give us some pointers on iNaturalist and how to do DNA prepare samples for DNA extraction. And now I'd like to make my first call out. Very happy to announce our Vice President, April Thompson. She just got a book deal. And so she wants to query the members online for some help with obtaining photos for her future book. So go ahead, April.
Thank you. Yeah. It's going to be a year-long project, so if you don't see me much, I'll be hunkered down trying to get this thing done on deadline. But is foraging the urban mid-Atlantic, all about plants and fungi, edible, medicinal, and otherwise in our region. And I'm gonna need to produce like 150 photos for it. And that will include select mushrooms. So if you've got some great photos of, it'll be probably around 25 edible mushrooms. Also be looking for potentially a few recipes. So if I think the easiest thing to do is if you're interested in potentially contributing, you could just email me at vp@mawdc.org. That will go to my personal email, and I'll once I have an idea of the gaps I need to fill, I can kind of put out a call to anyone who's interested in being part of that. And I also wanted to, I know the fair is on the next coming attraction slide, but the MAW Fair organization is underway. You may have seen on social media a call for vendors and demos. We already have a kind of nice lineup, but even in the last couple of days since I put that out, have had some interesting, people come forward with ideas to be involved with that. So, so yeah, if you or know of anyone who sells something mushroom related or has, some interesting slice of the kingdom fungi to exhibit, just let me know. Thank you.
All right, cool. Thank you, April. I am personally looking forward to Mitch selling some of his custom tie dyes at this year's Mushroom Fair. Huh, Mitch? We'll petition you for some of those. Okay, moving on. Some save the dates. Best weekend in mycology. Our weekend retreat. Well, I can't call it a weekend retreat. We're going on 5 days now. Every year we seem to add more and more time. This is our Sequanota event. If you've never been, Sequanota is the name of the camp that we stay at in south central, southwesternish Pennsylvania. It's in the Laurel Highlands. It's one of the best mushrooming areas around. It goes from Thursday night through Monday over Labor Day weekend. This year, we always have loads of talent there for IDing and talking about mushrooms, but really the location and just the 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 atmosphere of that place is the big draw. I mean, stress-free, wonderful weekend. I love it. It's my favorite weekend. This year we have tonight's presenter, Bill Yule. He'll be joining us again, and another one, Catherine Aim. It's been a few years since we've had her talk to us at MAW DC, but she's a professor at Purdue University, and she studies one of the coolest environments in the entire world. Her specialty, she's been doing this for like 3 decades or more. She goes down to the Tepui Mountains, the tabletop mountains that are on the interior of places like Guyana. And this is some of the, if not the most remote places in the world. The world's just completely upside down there. You have chanterelles growing up in the trees, truffles that are above ground. It's just crazy, some of the stuff you see in her slides. You can't drive there. You have to airplane in, and the runways are seasonal. It's really cool. You can't believe what her and her colleagues do every year to go down there to study fungi. And she's just a wonderful personality. So looking forward to hearing her presentation again. April just did a shout out for the Mushroom Fair. So that's something we do at Brookside Gardens, beautiful Brookside Gardens. Always look forward to that. Pass the word. That's a promotional event for the club. So if you know of anybody who wants to come out for that, please, let them. We'll host walks and be lots of stuff on the table identified for us to talk about. And for the last several years, I've been running a photo contest. So final date for submitting those photos will be November 9th. So don't forget to take some nice pictures of those mushrooms that you're seeing out there now, so you can send them to me later in the year for the photo contest. Like this nice one that our NAMA rep, Martin, took of the brown bitter bolete. Oh, so a couple more save the dates. These are non-MAW DC events, but somewhere in our mid-Atlantic region. First one, West Virginia. You know, our speaker tonight, Bill Ewell, you never know where he's going to show up. He seems to be everywhere all at the same time. I'm pretty sure he'll be at the West Virginia 4A again this year. He almost always shows up for that. Yep. What's that, Bill? Are you going to go again this year?
I will be there.
I thought as much. Yeah. The Eastern PA 4A. They host this at Mount Alto, Pennsylvania, which is not that far from DC. It's like an hour and a half. It's just on the other side of the border from Maryland. The Eastern PA Club, unfortunately, they're going to lose this venue. I don't know if anybody heard, but Penn State University owns this campus, and Penn State University has just decided to close 7 of its branch campuses, and this is going to be one of them. So it's really a cool place to go for a weekend 4A, and I think this will be the last year they'll be able to do that. And then here we go, Central PA Club. Bill Ewell showing up again as a guest mycologist. Man, does this guy get around. And that's over in Alexandria, Pennsylvania. That's like smack dab in the center of Pennsylvania. We'll do the Mushroom Festival in Kennett Square. I'll organize a joint 4A with the Eastern PA Club on the morning of the 6th, and then turn you loose around lunchtime, and folks can go down to the festival and, I don't know, buy some mushroom chotsky, or I don't know, mushroom flavored soup or whatever they have there. If you don't know, Kennett Square is mushroom capital of the world. Loads and loads of commercial farms in that part of southeastern Pennsylvania. The North American Mycological Association, they're going to have their big 4A this year in Marlborough, Vermont. So that's a little bit far afield, a little bit closer. Northeast Mycological Federation, they're going to have their 4A in Ithaca, New York, which is absolutely gorgeous area. Waterfalls galore up there, and just beautiful nature. And then that same weekend, if you don't want to go quite that far, the Pittsburgh Club will have their annual Gary Linkoff 4A. Gary Linkoff was and continues to be an idol of mine in mycology. We lost him a few years ago, but what a wonderful, wonderful educator. Okay, so I didn't put this slide in here. I think this is something Saranella wants to talk about, isn't it?
It is. So we want to make sure that during our National Mushroom Month, people have plenty of activity.
Uh-oh, Siri, I think you froze on my screen.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. Saranella, you there?
We lost our internet connection briefly because of the rain, so it's possible something like that happened. I don't know, just thundered and lightning over here.
Yeah.
You know what? We'll just, in order to keep things moving, I'll move on to Fungi in the news, and we'll circle back to Saranella whenever, hopefully, she's able to rejoin. All right. So Fungi in the news. Got a attractive looking fungi there. Who in the text? Who in the chat can tell me what that is? It's a coral mushroom. See it this time of year. I don't think Mitch had any in his slides. Nobody knows? Boy, Mitch, you got your work cut out for you. You're going to have to teach people about, yeah, Clavaria zolangeri, violet coral. Okay, so this first news article, this is one that Mitch sent to me, and you know, if you send me a news article that has to do with lichens, it's sure to get in here because that's my thing. And in this article, they found some of these brown lichens in the Mojave Desert, and they tested them to see just how good of a job they do at protecting the algal layer that's sequestered within inside of it from ultraviolet, very highly damaging ultraviolet radiation. So I'm showing you the brown in the top photo. That's the, I assume, stock photo that came with the news article. And this is a close-up of what this lichen, Clavicidium lacinulatum, looks like. Brown and boring. But very exciting stuff, because this lichen did an extremely effective job of filtering off UV radiation and protecting the sensitive algae that it farms within from those damaging effects. It was so effective that it even filtered off I think it's the ultraviolet A range, or maybe C range, but the stuff that gets normally absorbed in the atmosphere. So the conclusion from this is a type of lichen that would even thrive on other planets that didn't have much in the way of an atmosphere to filter off the more damaging ultraviolet ranges. How does it do that? Well, lichens may not look very exciting, but they are chemical warriors. I just love them to death because they're just hanging out there, not bothering anybody. And they are basically immortal, and they create more unique chemical metabolites than any other group of organisms in nature. They have over 1,000 chemicals that you only find in lichens. A lot of times those things are going to be like antibiotic, antifungal, and especially sunscreen to protect the algae or the cyanobacteria that they have sequestered within them. I remember after reading this article, this other lichen over here, that's the elegant sunburst lichen. They took that up into the International Space Station a few years ago. They pasted a bunch of samples of it outside, and the majority of them were still viable after a few weeks. So lichens may not look like much, but they're about the toughest group of organisms in nature. But they grow so slowly. They may be tough, but they're not very ambitious. Okay, so this was an article that I got from Daniel Berman. Unfortunately, a couple people in June 16th, they were bitten in the Silver Spring area by a raccoon, and they found a raccoon afterwards that had rabies. So they're just assuming that there's a non-trivial chance that the raccoon that bit these folks has rabies. So obviously, this just is a public service announcement. You see wild animals out there, and I'm talking about even cats or dogs you might see whenever you're walking out there. Try not to have contact with these things. And if it happens, you happen to have contact with a raccoon in particular, which seems to have a lot of rabies, seek medical attention. And you also want to try to get your pets vaccinated against rabies, or make sure that their vaccinations are up to date. Because if you get bitten by a wild animal, you really should go to the hospital immediately, because the outcomes for rabies is nearly 100% fatal unless you get to the vaccine quickly. Okay, this was this news article. Mitch sent me this one too, I believe. A couple years ago, I did a talk here about this guy, Albert Hofmann. He's a Swiss chemist who discovered LSD, accidentally discovered LSD. Quite a fascinating story. Happened during World War II, and anyhow, I was doing a presentation on ergot, and LSD is derived from lysergic acid that you find in this fungi that grows primarily on ryegrass. And after Albert Hoffman had made his fantastic discoveries with ergot, then he also became interested in this guy down here. This is the morning glory. Now, morning glory seeds have been used for millennia or more in, especially in Mesoamerica, as a hallucinogen. And Albert Hoffman had predicted that these morning glory seeds, they probably had some sort of symbiotic fungi within them, producing ergot-like alkaloids. And but it went undiscovered until recently. Whenever this girl over here, Corrine Hazel, she's a microbiology major, Goldwater scholar, and she discovered this new species of fungus in these morning glory plants. And it appears the long investigation to go find what was causing these alkaloids, these hallucinogenic alkaloids in morning glories to be produced. So kind of cool there. And then you hear all the time about how mushrooms are going to be saving the world by making textiles, by making construction materials, et cetera, et cetera. And this is another one, to me, pretty sure Mitch sent this. So they're using common strains, common variations of the split gill mushroom to make customized biodegradable replacements for fabric and packaging and other environmentally destructive materials. And so this is a common split gill. If this was a little bit closer, you can see how the gills are actually, it's two gills sandwiched together, which is great. But when the publisher was doing this article, they put this Udamanciella up here. We used to call these rooted colibias in the article. So it did it did kind of jump out at you that they kept talking about split gills, but they give you a picture of these guys up here. All right. I'm sure this is not news to anybody online tonight. We have a trial going on in Australia where this woman she cooked up some of these guys, Amanita phalloides. These are called the death caps, and put them in a beef Wellington. That's a picture of a beef Wellington down there. That might be the most delicious thing ever created. That was invented to celebrate the Duke of Wellington's victory over Napoleon at Waterloo. It's a beef tenderloin smothered in sauteed mushrooms and pate, liver pate, wrapped with a puff pastry, and it's just so good. But not good eats if you put this guy in there, Amanita phalloides. We had a presentation a couple years ago by Ann Pringle from Wisconsin University, and she tracked this death cap in the Americas. It's not native to the U.S., but now it's found everywhere, even in our neck of the woods. It was introduced in California and just slowly crawled its way across the continent, and now it's everywhere. Anyhow, this lady is being accused of serving this to 4 lunch guests, this mushroom, and she currently faces life in prison if she's convicted. And then I think Megan was going to talk about this one. This was another one that somebody texted me about. There was a showing up in a news cycle that there were a couple of Chinese nationalists who were accused of smuggling dangerous biological pathogens into the U.S. So, Megan, you out there? Yeah. Can you tell us about these darn fusariums?
Yeah, so yeah, a lot of people were asking me about this because my work, I work for APHIS, the Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service, and one of our missions is to keep exotic fungal pathogens out of the U.S., in addition to animal pathogens and insects and other things. So this was generated a lot of exciting headlines. So these folks came to the U.S. with some live cultures of Fusarium graminearum. Fusarium is a widespread genus. It's in soil, it's all over the place. If you were to walk outside, you would probably be able to catch some fusarium pretty quickly. It can be a devastating plant pathogen. It can also cause human disease. There's a keratosis that gets into people's eyes from fusarium, but it's also ubiquitous, depending on the species. And Fusarium graminearum actually is already in the US. It's fairly widespread in grain crops in the US. So in this case, it wasn't so much that they were bringing in something that was absolutely new, but they did not fill out their paperwork. They were trying to sneak it in, which is not acceptable. And, you know, if you can get something like that in, then you could potentially be bringing in something that is not native. You want to I just recently went to Australia, speaking of Australia, and I had with me an entire carry-on suitcase full of plant herbarium specimens. They were all dried, but I had filled out my import permit so that when I got to Sydney, I got to show them that and all my things, and I had a permit to return to the US. So you want to make sure you're actually following the rules. But it's kind of exciting that a fungus, one of these microfungi, got into the news.
And is the Fusarium fake meat product Quorum still available?
Yes, Fusarium venenatum. Yeah, you can buy corn at your local Safeway, wherever